Welcome, everybody, to our new series, Popcorn Monster, where we cover your favorite sci-fi and horror films. With me today is my brother Josh. We're going to be covering Mortal Kombat, the original from 1995? 95. So, Josh, around what time did you start watching this movie? Did you play the games first, or...?
It feels like I watched it first because I was like, oh, I really enjoyed this movie. But, now I look back and I enjoy it more, being more of a fan of the series. But, the first video game, you collected several of them. But the one that I played that you had first got was Mortal Kombat Deception. And, from there, it was just, they had a story mode and everything. And, I just really enjoyed playing the game.
And then you got into the movie?
Yeah, I got more into the movie. I enjoyed the movie, and of course, Sub-Zero, being a fan of him, carried on from the movie to the game, and then, much more to the movie that I became more enriched with his lore, him being a master of the Lin Kuei, he was, the one who killed Scorpion's family, and then there's actually another Sub-Zero that took place of the one who killed Scorpion's family, so, I became a huge fan and got much more into the lore, as the years went by.
Well, like you were asking me before we started recording, my thoughts on if I think it was a good game to film movie. I tell people all the time, I defend this movie. I think it's one of the best video game to film movies we've gotten. Like you mentioned Street Fighter, which we'll probably cover one day. But just like Street Fighter, in those early days in the 90s, I think Mortal Kombat's probably one of the best game to film, besides nowadays. I think the newest Tomb Raider was pretty good, but I'm waiting to see what this new Mortal Kombat's going to be like. I got nostalgia because, one, the Mortal Kombat theme, I'm sorry, hands down, that arcade old theme of Mortal Kombat, that's what's missing from the trailer, man, for the new movie. So I hope they surprise us with that, because I have nostalgia for that theme.
You heard it slightly, though. You heard, the doot-doot, kind of faintly, more of an orchestra
I know, but when
version.
that original movie starts off and that New Line Cinema thing comes on...
It sucks you into the film.
Dude, it rocks, man. It's it's pretty metal when that kicks in.
Well, because I don't think you quite, expect it. And if you haven't played the arcade, you're not familiar with the theme, so you're just, you go into it and you hear the New Line Cinema theme, and it's it plays over that opening crawl, so it's Mortal Kombat, and then it's just there was a thing I saw a long time ago. It's what movie do you think of when you see this? And it was it was the New Line Cinema logo, and more than half the comments said Mortal Kombat. That Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was Mortal Kombat, because with that came that intro theme, and then with the film, I feel like it's one of the best adaptations because they got the look right, if not better than the games, because you compare a lot of looks to, the characters and stuff, it didn't really fit.
Well, Christopher Lambert is Raiden, man. That was, spot on.
He didn't do much, but they have the look. And, some people criticize because, oh, he wasn't, of Asian descent, but if you look at the character over the years, they've never quite really portrayed him as an Asian character. I don't really agree with that argument. In the new movie, of course, they've cast an Asian actor, and it looks like it's going to be a great character adaptation because he looks spot on in the new movie, which I feel like with that character, what makes the character is his hat, because if you ain't got his what would you say, straw hat? But
it used to be a straw hat.
If you don't have that, then it just kind of takes away the character.
Well, you got to look at the times we're living in too. We're a little more modern, and we got modern Mortal Kombat games and looks. So this movie, the new one.
Well, even now,
I don't want to talk too much about the new movie because we ain't seen it, and we're focused on the original. But if you look at the new stuff for the movie, they're focusing more on the newer type game designs, to where in the original movie, honestly, for a side scroller and not much graphics, they kind of got even Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Their looks were, to me, spot on. Just, we didn't have a lot to go off of, but for what we got in that movie, I think they were spot on.
Out of the original game's characters, Scorpion and Sub-Zero was the most spot on. Raiden, but again, the lack of activity in that film, because he was mostly there as kind of a guide and mentor to the like fighters. He didn't engage in any activity. I mean, he shot out some lightning and he flipped Liu Kang, but overall he didn't engage in, well, combat with any characters. And like some of them were improvements over the original counterparts because like in the original first game, Kano looked just like he had the white robe on like he was part of a dojo. And in the movie, like he had like, oh, I mean, he had like a vest on, and then like when he fought Sonia on the beach, like he just had black pants. So, and of course, the cybernetic eye, he stood out.
Yeah.
And that movie is what gave him the Australian accent, because before that, he was just, oh, he's this member of the Black Dragon clan, and Sonya is trying to
that's
avenge
something
him.
the original movie did. It kind of added to lore that they've kind of stuck with since the original.
Well, yeah, because you never heard him talk. So in the game, he was just, oh, Sonya wants him, like, out of revenge. And in the movie, he was an Australian. So then, like, after that, every adaptation that involved him speaking, he always spoke in an Australian accent. And I'm like, well, that's cool, because, I mean, granted, well, these characters never spoke, so what can you really do? Liu Kang in the original movie, original
that's
game...
That's not true. Scorpion spoke a lot.
Well, get over here. I mean, even in the movie, that's all he said. It's the same dialogue. Get over. They could have took that from the video.
Nobody says that better than Scorpion.
That's all who says it.
I know, that's why I'm saying it.
But, like, in the original game, like, Liu Kang had the black pants, and in the movie, he had black pants and a white tank top. Like, that was the only adjustment. But overall, I mean, Robin True, like, I feel like played the part really well. And as far as Sonya goes, I mean, like, yeah, in the movie, she just had, like, a black tank top on and black shorts. In the game, she had, like, what looked like an aerobic outfit on. But, I mean, it was made in 91, 90, the game. So, I mean, that was the times, and they were really working on, like, it
was the first budget. Game, I believe, to actually use live people for the effects.
Yeah, because it was groundbreaking for a time.
They cropped them into the game.
And it was supposed to be originally a Jean-Claude Van Damme game, but he didn't want nothing, I think, to do with it. But they were like, well, we're on to something.
And one thing to remember, too, about Mortal Kombat, the movie, when it came out, one thing that was huge in the 90s, don't ask me why, but martial art movies were huge in the 90s. You couldn't turn around and not see a Jackie Chan movie, or like you said, a Jean-Claude Van Damme, or
because
even like teenagers being ninjas.
But like in the early 90s, like I would say at the time of Mortal Kombat, the biggest ones was Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Jackie Chan was still big. I feel like Chuck Norris kind of slowed down.
Well,
and then
he was a walker.
Stallone and Schwarzenegger weren't martial artists.
Yeah, they weren't martial artists.
No, Wesley Snipes busted onto the scene. He was a martial artist and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I would say from, like, the late 60s to, like, the 90s was the heyday for martial arts.
Yeah, but now, like, the 90s was definitely geared towards, like, younger people when it came to martial arts for some reason. Like, that was 10 years leaning really heavy into...
I think maybe it was kind of making a bigger comeback.
Yeah, but let's switch over to casting, to be honest with you, because that's what's on my mind, and just for a brief moment, I'm going to talk about the god-awful sequel to this movie.
That's a whole episode on
that's may or may never be done, but the casting in that movie compared to the first movie's casting, there is no comparison. Even Sonya Blade, Raiden.
Well, because in that, the only actors I believe that came back for the second one was Robin Shaw as Liu Kang and Talia Soto, I believe that's her name, as Katana. Like, I think those are like the only two that came out, because Johnny was recast, then, well, spoiler, killed off in the beginning. One reason why that movie was as bad as it was. If you haven't
seen it, don't get too used to Johnny.
And then, well, I mean,
but I don't recommend the sequel.
I'm trying to remember the actor's name now from the first film.
Unless you're drunk and you want to have a laugh.
But, like, the actor in the first film, it'll probably come back to me later. But, like, I thought he did a pretty good job. Because he got, like, the mannerism. Again, you were basing these characters off just how they kind of moved, and like again, nobody talked in the games aside from Scorpion and then like Raiden when he would fly through the air, but you never had no one talking like an actual voice to kind of mimic. So they just went off on like what they felt like these characters were, and Johnny was supposed to be like this cocky action film star. So, like, I mean, it's kind of a little easier to kind of be like, okay, well, he's cocky, and then, like, Johnny was jokey in the film. And I thought, like, he did a really good job as, the character. And, again, he wasn't able to come back. And, oh, I think it's, like, Lyndon Ashby now. Like, the actor's name. I'm gonna have to verify it, but I'm pretty sure that was his name.
I'm bad with names.
But, like, I didn't really see him much after that, but I mean, I liked his performance, but like, I thought he did a good job, and it was unfortunate he didn't come back. I forget whether or not it was scheduling conflicts or, like, I think some of them just kind of read the script and was like, this ain't gonna be good. But like Lambert, I know he didn't come back because I think he was going to do another Highlander film, and like, I mean, also the replacement for him was James Remar, which you're not sure familiar with who he is. He's been in films
Countless
like
movies.
he's been in like the
He's
Warriors, the Phantom. He's been in Django Unchained.
He's a character actor. He's been around for years.
And most notably, he was, I believe, Dexter's father on the show Dexter. So again, he's a talented actor, but like again, Raiden
I like him as an
didn't.
actor. He just didn't fit that role.
Yeah,
And then they took the look of Raiden away.
Yeah, because for some reason in the story of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, like in order to aid the combatants, like the Elder Gods tell him like you must be stripped of your Elder God status or power. So then, like after he leaves the temple and he comes back to the heroes, he's now got white pants and a black vest on, and his hair gets cut.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, it's a new look," and it's like. It's very bizarre. But fun fact, Ray Park, Darth Maul and Snake Eyes was his stunt double. And if you watch in the scene where I forget the combatant he's fighting now, if you pause at a certain moment, you see like it's Ray Park as the stunt double in the fight scene.
Right on, I didn't know that.
And like I didn't realize it either till like I remember just letting the credits roll one day and I paused and I'm like, wait. And I read Ray Park and I remember going back to the fight scene, I was like, that's him. So even Ray Park, that's had a part in the Mortal Kombat.
You know, until I started thinking about it, I almost forgot Ray Park played Toad in X-Men.
And he's been, but I mean,
I think people forget that.
I think people would probably rather forget Mortal Kombat than Toad and X-Men because, I mean, he's Toad, he's Darth Maul, he's Snake Eyes, and, I mean, shoot, you might as well say he's Raiden. He's had a good resume career, and, I mean, he's one of the most respected martial artists.
Now, do you have a favorite scene from the original Mortal Kombat? Because I'm pretty sure it was the first one, wasn't it, where Scorpion shoots his things out of his hands around the trees?
Yes, in a location that felt very odd to be on that island. Like, I was like, where is this forest at on Shang Tsung's island? Like, but I mean, like, not knocking it. And then Johnny, he's wandering around the forest for some reason. And then, like, Scorpion tries to take him out. But it was unique because I don't, like, think Scorpion's blade, like, throwing dagger ever came out of his hands. Because in the movie, they portrayed it as alive. Like, he shot it off, and it, like, opened up like a mouth.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that.
I kind of like it, though. I kind of like that it's alive and somewhat sentient. Or maybe he can control it with his mind. I don't know, but...
And in many adaptations...
That was my favorite scene in the movie.
Well, like, in many other games, you can see, like, when he throws it, it's rope.
Right.
Like, and then, like, even in the new movie, you can see, like, it's wrapped up on his side, and, like, he throws it off as, like... kind of like a dagger being thrown.
Well, now that you're giving those examples out, I kind of dig the original one better. It kind of gives him some kind of weird mystical, side to him.
And then his death scene, which, like, as he, like, it seemed like as he's fighting Johnny, they end up falling into, like, this hellish location, which could be the Nether Realm, which was very volcanic and hell-like. I don't think it was Outworld, because Outworld's where Shang Tsung's island was, and... like, when Johnny goes to defeat him, he pulls off his mask and it's a skull and then it blows up.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of
That
cool.
was from the video game, but that was more of a fatality because what he did was when it's like, finish him, he pulls off his mask, he blows fire at him, he sets the guy on fire, and it's like Scorpion.
Now, that might have been the only fatality scene you've seen in the original one.
Well, no, because it goes to set up his fatality, but Johnny beats him.
Right, but that's the only time you really see one done, because everybody else that got killed in the movie didn't really have a spine ripping out of their back.
We gotta remember, this was also PG-13 in 1995.
Well, that's true, but they could have done,
Because that's another reason why, like, when this new movie got, like, oh, it's rated R. Fans rejoiced because they're like, okay, there's gonna be fatalities. And the first trailer dropped, they didn't hold back on showing the blood and stuff because it's like, I mean, now fans are like, there's gonna be fatalities, and then it was even confirmed there'll be fatalities, which should get fans even more excited for it. But like in the movie, after Scorpion like blows up, he like you see like an autographed picture of Johnny Cage like burning like where Scorpion was standing. That I'm pretty sure it was Johnny's fatality. Like after he like did a fatality, he left like an autographed picture. Because even in Mortal Kombat Armageddon in the story mode, or as their story mode is called, Conquest mode, you can find collectibles, and every collectible you get like unlocks something. And one of the collectibles, like some of it can be like Cabal's mask, or like Cyrax's rocket, or I'm not even Sector's rocket, but like there's a collectible where it's Johnny Cage's autograph. So that kind of ties into like how his fatality was, which of course if you played recent games, his fatalities have gotten a lot more different, more humorous too, but I mean, that was accurate, and again, Raiden didn't do much. Shang Tsung, like, his look in the movie was considerably different, because in the original game, he was like this very old man, kind of looked like Lil Pan from Big Trouble in Little China, which it wouldn't be surprised if that came out being like, oh, that's their inspiration from it. Which...
Well, I mean,
Lightning was the inspiration for Raiden,
right?
Which if you watch Big Trouble in Little China,
and his design's almost based off of.
What are they called? Like not the three gods, like the three.
What from Big Trouble?
Yeah, they were called the three what? But
I don't remember.
But it was like lightning, thunder, and I think rain.
I don't want to talk about another movie, but I just love how that guy gets a temper tantrum because he sees Lo Pan get killed in Big Trouble,
and then like as that blows up.
Back to Mortal Kombat.
But anyways, you watch that movie and you can, like, the character, you can see, like, he has the brim hat and he controls lightning. So, I mean, right there.
They were doing Mortal Kombat before Mortal Kombat.
And other inspirations for Mortal Kombat was, like, Enter the Dragon, which included Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that's heavily.
Which was a tournament, which even starred, like... Well, I mean, I can't really see no one being an inspiration from John Saxon's character or Jim Kelly's character. Which,
no, but now that you say it, Enter the Dragon, you can see the inspiration.
And Bloodsport. Because Liu Kang,
when did Bloodsport come out, in the 80s?
87?
Okay.
It was, like, really the film that put Van Damme on the map.
It's probably one of my favorites of him. Not a big fan of his, but probably one of my favorites.
And one of my favorite songs came out of it. You fight to survive! And then it's like, whoo. I mean, he did the music. I mean, what was it? Stan Bush. He did the music for Transformers, too. Like, there, and then you got the touch.
Tangents. We're going off on tangents.
No, we're still on the topic. But, like, Bloodsport was another one. It was a fighting movie about a tournament.
All right.
And even Bruce Lee was the inspiration for Liu Kang. Jean-Claude Van Damme was the inspiration for Johnny Cage, which again, Mortal Kombat was initially going to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme game, and like Sub-Zero, he's always going to be my favorite Mortal Kombat character. Which actually, well, he's my favorite. Did you ever have a favorite Mortal Kombat character?
Can't say I had a true favorite because I
thought you like Scorpion, but
I do. It's just like you have how you like Sub-Zero. I kind of dug him too. But I think the thing I dug about him and Scorpion was they almost had a rivalry, you know. And
well, they did. Like,
anytime you saw people, you know, those are like fan favorites for everybody.
That's
in a way.
also an interesting thing too. Like you mentioned, they have a rivalry in the movie. They were the two main henchmen to Shang Tsung. Like there was no rivalry for them. They were just like, oh, they were the. I don't want to say like it just henchmen. I don't want to say lackeys like for those two, but like it bothers me. Like Scorpion had like this cool death scene with Johnny Cage, and it was a cool fight. Sub-Zero, he's fighting Liu Kang. You're like, okay, these are cool. He dies of a bucket of water getting thrown at. Why does he freeze? Like, he goes to shoot a freeze blast at Liu Kang. And Liu Kang's, like, thinking, like, to himself what Katana says in the movie about, like, oh, you have to, like, something about, like, use his powers against him or something like that. And there's a bucket of water sitting there. So what does he do? He throws the water at him. And as the freeze blast comes at him, the water hits the freeze, and the water keeps going as ice, and he gets impaled on a wall. And I'm like...
creative.
Yes, but compared to Scorpion, like, getting defeated, and then he pulls off his mask to a flaming skull and blows up, Sub-Zero just gets impaled, like, by a bucket of ice water. Like, also, it always seemed like growing up, Sub-Zero was always on the losing end of Scorpion. Yeah. Like, every time there was promotional stuff, it was always like, Scorpion. And then when they showed, like, a promotional video, like, MK11 did this, because, wait, was it MK11? I think so, where he kills Sub-Zero or nothing? I'm not sure. But, no, it might have been Raiden though, and then that's when like the classic Scorpion walks up. It was in the opening trailer. But like, yeah, like Sub-Zero's always been like my favorite, like from the get go, just because I think he's always had cool powers. And then like him, Scorpion had spot on like looks and. Like, Johnny, can't really do much with him. Like, even in the game, he had just kind of, like, pants on and sunglasses. And Goro, like...
I forgot about him.
Goro, I felt like was a good adaptation for,
and for what the effects, he looked good.
And it was mostly waist-up shots, but mostly because for what they could do, they couldn't just... And then Katana, like, she was well adapted and stuff, and Reptile's one people forget was in that movie because
his look was totally different.
No, well, they kind of redeemed it though because they threw a curveball because he was a CGI lizard running around, and then suddenly when he gets knocked into some like sarcophagus, he comes busting out in the Green Ninja attire. So you're like, well, there's a Reptile we know and love, but like I mean, they got the looks down in the movie, and, like, I remember listening to what you said about Batman 89. It's not a great movie, and it's not a bad movie. It's an enjoyable film, and I think for a lot of people, the nostalgia is what...
really saves the movie.
Yeah, and your love of the games, like, to watch your characters be brought to life on the big screen is, like, great, too. So, I mean, yeah. Do you have any more comments? I mean, I still think it holds up, and I mean, I'm still excited for the new film.
Which drops Friday, right?
Friday. Yeah.
All right. Well, those are our closing thoughts on this episode of Popcorn Monster. Can't wait to see the new Mortal Kombat, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Like and subscribe.